What's up, you guys? Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm here to do some looks with the new Huda Beauty Nude Obsessions palettes that just came out. You guys, spoiler alert, the end of the story is I screwed up. I accidentally wound up with different versions of these palettes than I intended to. Initially, when I went on Sephora to order these, I was gonna get all three, but then I thought to myself, why spend money on all three of them when at least one of them is not really intended for my skin tone, because these are palettes geared toward different skin tones to be nudes in those categories. So I decided to just get the light and medium ones. But when they arrived, I had the medium and the rich one and not the light one. My initial reaction was annoyance.
I am untethered and my rage knows no bounds!
But when I went back and looked at the order, like in my basket, it was my fault. They didn't send me the wrong ones. I took the wrong one out of my cart. I don't know how. So these are the ones that I have today, and considering that the rich one, although it's definitely not a nude palette for me, it's a beautiful, beautiful arrangement of colors for fall. I am going to keep it, and I'm still going to do a look with this one. I already did a look with the medium one. That's what I'm wearing here on my eyes. I'm also going to give a try to the NABLA skin glazing highlighters that just came out in this video. So if you've been curious about those, I am going to use those on camera. I don't normally do my base makeup on camera just to save time, but today I will include that so you guys can see those. I'll timestamp each look in the description. I will timestamp the review in the description. I will list all of the other makeup I use on my face in the description. Basically anything you ever need to know, I've listed it down below. I spend a lot of time on my description boxes, something I take a lot of pride in. Thank you very much. Before we get into it, please don't forget to leave a like on this video because it's very helpful to me and I really appreciate it. Speaking of things I really appreciate, I just wanted to say thank you guys for like how freaking nice you are to me in my comments. Like, I know the internet is often like a pit of despair, but for real, like, you guys say such nice things to me. Like, I literally read them sometimes and just almost cry. I'm not a big crier, so like the actual tears don't come out, but like it gets close. Like they start to feel moist. I'm definitely moist in the eyes. If you are one of those lovely, lovely people out there and you would want to be part of this little community that we're building, please go ahead and subscribe because I would love to have you around as well. Please excuse the close-ups of my skinned knuckles. I know they're gross. I need new boxing gloves. The ones I have are shit. I don't know if there's anything else we need to discuss before getting to it. Oh, book club. Book club, the information will be down below. We're reading Carrie for next week for Halloween. I think that's all we had to talk about before we get into it. So please enjoy these two looks with the Huda Nude Obsessions palettes. So look number one is going to be with the medium Nude Obsessions palette. This is what it looks like on the inside. I was like really projecting this idea of a nude palette onto it when actually it's almost kind of rose gold. To begin the first look, I'm gonna go into this shade here on the top corner. These do not have names or numbers on the back of them, so I'm just gonna have to point out to you which ones I'm using. I'm gonna put that through the outer portion of the crease and the inner portion to start, because I'm thinking that I might do a little center cut here. Sometimes I find with like nude palettes, if I kind of go bigger on the shape, I feel better about the way the look turns out in the end because it still has the subtlety of the nude shades, but like it still looks like impactful and a little bit extra because that's how I like my makeup. I'm gonna deepen the crease a little bit with this darker shade right underneath the first one that we used on a NABLA pointed crease brush. I'm just gonna deepen up exactly the same areas that we put that first shade down, but more concentratedly into the crease. And while we're here, I'll put some of that on the outer and inner corner too. So far, the performance of these mattes is really, really nice. I'm getting so much pigment really quickly, but I'm also not getting any patchiness, which can be an issue sometimes, especially with the matte shades. You know what? I do want to do a little cut in the middle and I want it to be like all the way across. So I'm going to take a little bit more of that shade and I'm going to put it through the crease. Could have just done this to begin with, but we were, you know, making decisions as we went along. And blend it out with the first shade that we used in the crease. All right. Okay. For the center of the lid, like I said, I'm going to do a little cut in the center. I think I did a similar technique to this in the Huda Neon Obsessions video that I did when they first came out. If you haven't seen that, I'll link that up here. I actually was so in love with the pink look in this video, which is one that's similar structurally to what I'm attempting to do here. And I say attempting because I'm on my period right now and off my game. That should be a t-shirt. So I'm gonna grab my concealer and I'm gonna just do a little cut right above my natural crease. I'm doing that with my NABLA cut crease maker brush because I like the shape. Obviously, as you can tell by the name, the shape was designed for that. I like to put the brush down and decide where the cut will be with my eye open and looking straight forward, and then tip my head back to smooth it out. So that way, when my eye is open, I know that it's in the right spot. Tap the edges of the concealer out with my finger. For the center of the lid, I'm going to use one of these shimmers, and I think I'm going to go into this one in the center here. It reminds me of brown sugar nail polish from Butter London, which I love. I picked that up on my Flat Mac 272 brush. I don't recall if I prefer the Huda shimmers wet or dry, so I'm just going to start dry and then wet them if I need to. Oh, dry seems to be fine. That's just as much shimmer as I need in my life. I'm gonna use a smaller brush in the same color to get right up in that little edge of the cut we made. I'm just gonna use that same NABLA pointed crease brush to blend that into the shades that surround it. I'm gonna take my ring finger and I'm gonna go into the shimmer shade in the top row, and I'm gonna dab that right in the center. Just a little bit of it, just to bring the center part of the lid forward a little bit more, give it more of a highlight. Wow, these are like really, really foiled shadows, like really foiled. I concealed in powder so that we can move on to the lower lash line. The shimmers in here are like extremely foiled and pretty. In person, I feel like they may be emphasizing the texture of my lids a little bit more than I generally like, but that's every extremely foiled shadow really. But on camera, they look so like glowing. For the lower lash line, I want to incorporate one of the other matte shades so we can try it out. So I'm going to go into this bottom one in the middle here. I'm going to drag that under the lower lashes. I'm going to grab a little smudger brush and go back into the deepest shade again. I'm going to push that along the outer portion of the lower lashes, flick it out toward the shape that we created at the top. Okay, I'm gonna be honest, I'm kind of living for this right now and I wasn't expecting to. Like, I thought it was gonna be nice, but like a little boring, but like it's not. For the waterline, I want to continue the rose gold vibe that we've got going on. So I'm gonna grab one of my favorite Urban Decay pencils. This is the shade Lucky, which is like, I don't know if you call it a rose gold or a copper, but like really, are they that different anyway? I'm gonna run that through the waterline. To finish this off, I'm gonna go into this shimmer on the bottom corner. It's a little bit lighter, but it also is like a little bit more of a lavender pink with some gold in it, and I think it'll make a really nice inner corner highlight. So I'm picking that up on a LUXE 111 mini brush. I'm just gonna pop that on the inner corner. That shade is very, very pretty, but it's also not quite bright enough for an inner corner highlight, just for my personal taste. So I'm gonna go into the top shade that we used earlier. I'm gonna pop that, a little bit of that on the top too. I put on House of Lash's Midnight Luxe, and I also filled in a couple of my moles, but I haven't finished off the rest of my skin yet because I also have the new NABLA Skin Glazing Highlighters. This is the shade Ozone, and I'm gonna try this here with you guys today because I haven't tried it yet. I'm just gonna use my NABLA highlight brush. Ooh, that's very pretty. I think this shade might be a little bit, not too light. I can definitely use it without it looking weird. I think one of the other shades in the collection might work better for me, but the texture of it reminds me a lot of standby. Hold on. These highlighters that came out with their holiday collection last year, I believe these were limited edition. So I'm wondering if maybe they used that kind of similar formula in these and just expanded the line that way, because they do seem very, very similar. But I do really like that formula. I still use it all the time. So for me, it would be a very good thing if they were the same. Finish is similar though, for sure. For the lip color, I'm gonna use a shade that I used in my last video, but I've been loving it, so I'm using it again. I'm gonna use the Underdog Lip Paint from Fenty. This is their new shade that came out for holiday in the mini version. Still do wish that they would have it in a regular size version, because like I said in the other video, the stick is too short. But in light of the fact that the stick is a little too short and it makes it more difficult for me to get a clean lip line, I'm going to pair it with a burgundy lip liner. This is literally the shade Burgundy from MAC, self-explanatory. So I'm gonna line my lips with that, fill with this. And this is the first look. So for look number 2, we're going to be going into the rich version of the palette. So I'm going to take my BH number 6 brush, and I'm going to start by going into this more pinkish shade down in the bottom row. And I'm going to start putting that through my crease. So the last look I thought was very pretty, but I did notice as I wore it throughout the day, because I did that look yesterday and then wore the look and then sat back down to film this one this morning. I did notice that the shimmery shades were creasing on my lid a little bit within a few hours. I'm gonna buff that out with a clean blending brush. Yesterday I primed with just a concealer, which probably contributed to the creasing. There are a lot of eyeshadows that I can wear with just a concealer as a primer and I don't have to worry about creasing. But to see if I can improve that at all, I wore a proper eyeshadow primer today, so I used the Urban Decay Primer Potion. Honestly, if something moves or creases with primer potion under it, something has gone terribly wrong. I'm gonna take my Sigma E36 brush and I'm gonna go into the darkest matte shade. It's like kind of like a cola shade. And I'm gonna start putting that through the crease to deepen it up. I'm also gonna take a little bit of that deepest shade on my NABLA pointed crease brush and tap it on the outside corner of the lid. And for the open portion, I'm gonna go into this top shade right here. It's a nice reddish shimmer. And I'm gonna drag that across the entire open portion of the lid. I'm also gonna go into this pretty rose gold shade right here on my finger and dab that in the center of the lid just to brighten it a bit. I added some concealer and some powder because the top part of the eyes are mostly done. And I'm gonna go through my waterline. I think I'm gonna use one of my favorite Urban Decay pencils from the Game of Thrones collection. This is called Dragon Smoke. It's a nice, rich, dark pencil, but it also has like little reflects of like reds and purples and stuff in it. So it looks really like, you know, it's one of those shades that just goes with everything. And since we're looking so deep and rich and smoky anyway, might as well lean into that. I'm gonna use a pencil brush just to smudge that through my lower lash line. And I think I'm gonna use a shimmer on my lower lashes. I don't normally do this, but I've been seeing Raw Beauty Christy do it a lot lately and she looks really good with it. So I don't know, maybe I will too. So I'm gonna take that same pencil brush and I'm gonna go into this shimmer here. I'm just gonna brush that along the lower lash line over that pencil. All right, maybe Christy's onto something here. Okay, I'm gonna use my LUXE 141 mini brush to go into the lightest shimmer in this palette and use that to highlight my inner corner. And I think the color scheme of this palette is a really great excuse for me to add one of my beloved rose gold gemstones. So I'm just gonna pick one of these up. I'll link these down below. Every time I use them, somebody asks where I find my little flat back gems. I just buy them on Amazon, but I'll show you guys these specific ones that I like. Some are better than others. Like sometimes you get them and they're not very shiny because they're like cheap plastic, but these are actually decent and they're not super expensive. So I'm just gonna put a little bit of House of Lashes clear glue in the spots where I want to put a stone, and then I'm gonna stick a stone down with the wax pencil. It's pretty straightforward. I think these palettes are very, very pretty, but they definitely have more of like a rose gold nude tone, which I don't mind. That's okay by me. I don't really love like a straight up like neutral. That's not always my favorite. So this actually works out quite well. I want to do like a lighter lip to go along with this eye, not like super light, but I'm going to do like a mauve-y kind of a pink. So I'm going to use the HAUS Labs Myth Pencil. I actually wound up really liking these lip pencils from HAUS Labs. They're a nice formula. And I'm going to top it with the BUXOM Full-On Plumping Lip Polish in the shade Dolly, which is a favorite of mine. I used to have like a mini one of these for a long time and I used it up recently and they just sent me a full-sized one and I am so stoked because I was real sad to be out of it. And this is the second look. Okay, so after doing 2 looks, I can safely say I'm no longer untethered about the mistake that I made in the palettes that I bought. Personally, I think that if I had to choose one for myself that makes the most sense for me, that I would get the most use out of as a nude palette, I probably would have ended up with medium anyway. I don't have the light one, but it does seem like maybe that one would have been a little bit bland on me. So I think that medium would be right in the wheelhouse for my tone. The colors in the Rich palette are absolutely beautiful. These are very pretty, rich, garnety shades. Obviously, they're not nudes on me, like not even close, but the colors themselves are really, really well done. They're very richly pigmented. They blended well. As far as the creasing that I found on the lids when I wore that look yesterday, I am going to wear this look for the rest of the day. And I'll try to leave an update in the comment section for you guys, letting you know if this wore any better with a proper primer under it rather than just a concealer. I don't love that I have to wear a primer instead of a concealer under a palette either way. I'd really prefer to have the option because sometimes it's just easier to blend over a concealer sometimes, and I like the finish it gives me. I'm usually willing to make the concession if I really like the shades that are in a palette, but to be honest with you, I do always kind of wish they would work over whatever I decided to prime with. I hope you enjoyed these 2 looks in spite of me goofing up a little bit today. I think they both turned out kind of pretty, and I think regardless of whether you've picked up either of these palettes or not, it could be something that you could recreate with other like rose goldy palettes that you might have on hand, or like some maroon shades and stuff. The packaging's cute as hell too. I don't think I mentioned that. Please don't forget to leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it, if you found it helpful, if you found it entertaining, if you just want to do me a favor, because it really helps me and I would really appreciate it. And if you're new around here, maybe you've watched a couple videos, maybe you haven't, maybe you're just new to this video, I would love it if you would subscribe and hang out with me, because to be quite frank, I have a great time doing this and I think that you might enjoy it and I would appreciate having you around. If you want to keep up with me between videos, you want to see lip art, you want to see PR unboxings, you want to see close-ups of my makeup, you want to just see what I do day to day. Last week I made French onion soup. Come find me on Instagram. I update my stories all the time. I post more elaborate lip art and like more creative makeup looks over there if you're into that kind of thing. I'm at Miss Quinn Face. I would love to have you around. That's all for today. I'm gonna go get some stuff done while wearing this makeup. Please feel free to yell at me in the comments if I forget to give you guys an update on how this wore with different primer, because I very well may forget. So just let me know if I do that and I will pin the comment on the top. Thank you so much for watching. As always, I appreciate each and every one of you spending a little bit of time with me today, and I will see you in the next one. I will. You're gonna be there. I'm gonna see you in the next one. Very too close. Oh, too close. Do. And I'll try to leave and I'm skirt. Is that, what is that, like a shart and a skirt?